the channel today. Um, I've got a video that I want to show you guys today. It was just released from Wolves in Finance. He just released it 2 hours ago. But apparently Turning Point decided to send him a cease and desist letter threatening to sue him. So we're going to go through that and we're going to talk about it because I think it's important that, one, we stand behind him and we stand behind anybody that they sue.
Oh, let me try that. Is that better? I didn't have my mic down. Sorry about that. Let me know if the audio is better, guys. Okay, cool. All right. Anyway, so I'll start over then. So we have Wolves in Finance just posted a video 2 hours ago this morning. And thank you guys. And apparently Turning Point has sent him a cease and desist letter threatening to sue him. Threatening a lawsuit. And I think it's important that we all point this out and cover it. And I also think it's important that we all stand behind anybody that they do sue and give our full support to them. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and start playing the video. And actually, before I do that, let me just mention now, they have been threatening lawsuits towards us for some time now. Tyler Boyer has done it. He's threatened me personally with a lawsuit online. Another one who has threatened me personally online was oh shit, what's his name? His name escapes me. The governor, or the one running for governor in Utah. Give me a second. Not Cox, but the other one. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you who it is. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. See, this guy's a nobody. I don't even care about him, honestly. So Phil Lyman, that's his name. Phil Lyman. Yep, you got it. So yeah, so Phil Lyman he's threatened to sue me. Tyler Boyer, Turning Point, is threatened to sue me. A bunch of people threaten to sue me. I really don't care though. I have nothing they can get. Plus, I'm telling the truth anyway, so I really don't care. But it's like the fact that they are threatening smaller creators. They're not going after big ones. They're going after small creators like Wolves in Finance. They're intentionally doing that because they figure that they can scare you into intimidation. The same reason they tried to threaten me. They think they're going to scare us into shutting up. And that's not the case at all, as you're about to find out. It didn't scare me into shutting up, and it's not going to scare Zach of Wolves in Finance. So let's go ahead and we'll start the video, and I'll show you that. All right, guys. I haven't seen this yet. I've watched maybe about 2 minutes of it and then turned it off. I said, you know what? I want to do this live. I want to watch it with you guys live and react live with it. So let's go ahead and do that now. What's going on here?
This week, I received a letter from Turning Point titled Demand to Cease and Desist Defamatory Comments. This is the first step when someone sues you for defamation. I know there are a lot of people out there making videos about Turning Point, so you should pay attention to this. They have started sending out cease and desist letters, and for some reason, they've decided to start with me. Apparently,
And again, the reason they're starting with him is one, well, there's two reasons they're starting with him. One is his claims are most damaging because they hit to the financial matters that are going to actually cause the company real harm. Like they're very, very, very scared because they know they're doing things wrong. They know their finances are all screwed up. They know that they got a money laundering and and kickback scheme going on. I mean, it's a fact. I'm sorry, it's a fact. As much as they don't like that, it's a fact, and they don't want that to be put out in the public because it's going to cause them problems. It's going to cause them to get regulated. It's going to cause possibly criminal. If our justice system wasn't so corrupt, it would cause criminal charges to be filed against these people. And by the way, this is whoever asked. This is Wolves and Finance. Zach from Wolves and Finance. He is the one that has been making all the Turning Point audit videos, breaking down, all the fraud, like them sending millions of dollars to the parking lot. He's the one that has been releasing those videos, and they really have not liked the fact that he's pointing that out. Yeah, no problem. So let's continue.
They cannot handle the criticism from my teeny tiny YouTube channel. This letter is showing the world the type of organization Turning Point has become under Erica Kirk. They want to send legal letters to small YouTube creators. So we're going to go through this letter. And by the way, if any of you know a good lawyer in Arizona that handles defamation cases, have them send me an email through my website because I'm looking for a lawyer.
That does two things. It does show exactly what they're more concerned about suing people for speaking the truth than they are about getting the truth out there. They're not worried about fixing the problems within their own company because they're all milking it. They're all benefiting off of the problems in the company. So they don't want them out there. So instead, they just want to threaten anybody who says anything about it and points that out. Secondly, he does need a lawyer. So if you guys know anybody, go ahead and send him an email. I'm sure he listed on his channel, his website, I think it's wolvesandfinance.com, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Go to his YouTube and you'll be able to see. I'm sure he lists that. But definitely send him a lawyer. I'm sure he'll probably put up a GoFundMe or something at some point if they do sue him. But definitely support him.
Their interest is in the truth and making sure the public record is accurate. So they are claiming they do not want to sue me. But I view this letter as a threat to sue, and I think any reasonable business person would do the same. A cease and desist letter is the first step towards a defamation lawsuit.
And he is 100% right on that. I know I've been doing this with my ex-partners and stuff, so I know exactly how it works. They have to, in order to file a lawsuit against you, they have to first send you a cease and desist. So that is the first step. Them sending you a cease and desist, by definition, means that they are intending to sue you. So it cannot be looked at as any other way.
I interpret this letter as Turning Point telling me to shut my mouth or they're going to sue me. I do not understand what Erica Kirk is doing. Out of the hundreds of people posting on social media about Turning Point, why are they targeting me? Why are they so?
They're targeting you because you're a small creator. They do not think that you have the resources to be able to fight back against a big, Goliath of a company, which is Turning Point, who has massive lawyers on staff, massive resources. So they're banking on that for one. And secondly, like I said, because you are hitting at the core, the stuff that's really damning to them and can cause them real damage. Like there are even the people that don't even the people like that don't care about, or the like, I'll put it this way: the people that even the people that believe the Fed slop story, even the ones that believe the Fed stop story, they still care about corruption. They still care if their money is being stolen. So if they're giving donations and Turning Point is using those donations to buy real estate, they're using those donations to kick them back into their own pocket to buy their $1 million houses, people care about that. So regardless of whether they buy the Fed slop or not, they care about the finances at Turning Point. And the fact that Zach's video is pointing that out, that is why they are targeting him first. But as he's going to get into, they're targeting all of us. He's just the first one that's going to get this. But we'll continue.
Don't worry about what I am saying that they're sending me legal letters. I am one of the smallest YouTube channels in my market segment. Who do they think I am? I'm a working accountant with a small YouTube channel. I have no money. I have no power. I have no influence. I don't know how much money they think they're going to get from suing me. All I have is the truth. And I'm not going to stop speaking the truth because Erica Kirk doesn't like it.
Exactly. I feel the same way. Like I said, they've sent me, I haven't gotten cease and desist letters, but they've threatened me in comments and in DMs to sue me. And I won't back down either. I refuse to back down. And if they want to sue me, fine, bring it. Let's go. One, they're not going to get anything out of me, even if they tried, because I don't have anything. I have no assets. I don't care. I'm not some big rich guy. I don't have a bunch of money. I'm just a guy online telling the truth. That's all I care about. And he's doing the exact same thing.
The one good thing about a lawsuit is that everything will be out in the open, and Turning Point will quickly find out that I have nothing to hide.
And that's another thing, is when it's out, when he says out in the open, that means discovery. And I don't think they're actually going to sue, but if they do, that will open them up to a world of hurt, because then that opens up discovery. And that by them suing you, that opens up to discovery. So that means that we can get a hold of their text messages back and forth, proving that they are colluding against us. We can get a hold of the actual finances that they're not releasing. We can force things into the light that they have been hiding for so long. Things that they want to say are defamation, we could say, oh, well, wait a minute. If it's defamation, then prove it.
The letter came from a lawyer named Paul Edgard Harold from South Bend, Indiana. It seems like this is Turning Point's lawyer. I looked him up, and I cannot find that he has been admitted to the State Bar of Arizona in order to practice law in Arizona. So I'm not exactly sure how he's going to sue me in Arizona, but maybe he's working with other lawyers. In the letter,
That's strange. So Zach says that this guy is not even an Arizona licensed attorney. That's pretty weird.
order me to, please confirm that you will publicly correct your false statements immediately. This is not what I was going to talk about this week, but Turning Point is demanding that I communicate their statements publicly. So here we go. They include a whole list of statements they claim are false that I have made in my videos about Turning Point. Now, I'm not interested in spreading false information, so I'm glad that Turning Point reached out to me, because if I said something wrong, I am happy to correct it. So,
and let me say this as well. Same with me. I'm not here to spread misinformation either. With the things I put out are things that I can back up, the things that I believe based on the information and the facts that I have at hand, that I've seen personally, that people have brought to me, and he's doing the same thing. And if they would just, the problem of them clamming up when we ask them questions and we question them on things, the fact that they're not being open and upfront, like as Candace has said many times, like if we have a question about something, you just go, hey, were you at Fort Huachuca? Oh yeah, I was there because of this and this. Or no, I was not. Like, just be upfront, and things would be, when you don't tell us anything, it forces us to then, uh, you know, come up with our own theories of what happened. And it's not, they do it to themselves. Like, if they have nothing to hide, then just be open and upfront and share this stuff. Don't threaten lawsuits and then, contact people after the fact.
Let us go through the statements where they have a problem. And you're going to want to hear this because some of these are wild. On November 16th, I posted a video called Bombshell, Did Turning Point USA Commit Fraud? They say these are false claims. Charlie Kirk ordered a Doge-style audit that was never conducted. Here is my first problem with this letter. They do not include the actual quote that I said in the video. This is a paraphrased statement of what I said, and they are saying that the paraphrased statement is a lie.
And that's the same kind of crap that they pulled on Candace Owens. Remember that ambush, the day that she went to go meet with Erica in Tennessee, how it was supposed to be a truce and they were not supposed to say anything publicly about the case during that truce period. But then they went online on their show with Paramount Tactical and decided to, run off a whole list of things that Candace is lying about and blah, 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 blah. And she said, well, half the things on that list, more than half those things, honestly, she didn't even say. They're just things that they are paraphrasing or made up or pulling out of their ass, honestly. They're not even, they're claiming that people said stuff that they didn't even say. And that's going to bite them in the ass, too, if they do try to sue anybody.
You have to tell me exactly what I said that was supposedly a lie. And they do this through the whole letter. So my request to this lawyer in future letters, because I'm assuming there's going to be more, please include the actual quote that I said so that I can respond to your accusation. But I'm going to at least try to interpret what they're saying. I spoke in my video about a memo that Charlie Kirk wrote 8 days before he was murdered. In the cease and desist letter, they say, indeed, Turning Point USA's COO announcement concerning the Doge effort never used the word audit. So this is breaking news. Turning Point's attorney has now confirmed that the Charlie Kirk memo is authentic. We now have legal confirmation this did happen. It seems like their problem with my video is that I called it a Doge audit, when in the memo it is written as Doge effort. So they want everyone to use the word effort and not use the word audit. This letter is seriously hurting my head. Whatever word you use, the memo is clearly talking about an evaluation of Turning Point. But we cannot use the word audit. We have to call it an effort, or they are going to sue you. The letter goes on to say, the announcement makes clear that Turning Point,
regardless of what you want to call it, you can call it an audit, you can call it an effort. The fact remains, Charlie wanted it done. He noticed that there were problems with the finances. He noticed there were money coming in and going out that he didn't know where it was going, where it was coming from. Way too much money. And he ordered, that's why he put Justin Strafe, I think his name is, why they put him in place and took Tyler Boyer away from doing the finances because of that. They want, Charlie specifically knew there were problems and he wanted that Doge audit to, to find what that was so he could fix it. And they haven't done it. The fact that they're trying to, they haven't done it. Simple as that. If they would have just done it, there's none of this would have been a problem. He wouldn't have had to make any of these videos at all.
Point USA was doing what it has always pledged to donors, ensuring it was being efficient with its funds and time and making changes to foster greater efficiencies. Moreover, Turning Point USA hires a third-party audit firm to conduct an audit every year. This is all just their opinion.
And as my boy Zach here has pointed out in previous videos, Baker Tilly, which is the firm that they hire to do their audits, is extremely either negligent or outright corrupt, because they have gotten in trouble with regulators so many times, have been fined so many times for missing things, for not doing due diligence. They've been involved, embroiled in massive fraud schemes that they've let go unchecked for many years. So that firm, just because that firm says, "Oh yeah, you passed your audit," means absolutely nothing, because that firm's reputation is garbage, straight garbage. The only reason they're hiring, in my opinion, the only reason they're hiring that company is because it's garbage, and they know that they can still get away with all the fraudulent money laundering and kickback schemes that they're doing as a result.
This is how they are interpreting Charlie Kirk's memo. They think that Charlie Kirk wrote this memo, and they think it means that they do not have to do anything. How convenient. They think that Charlie Kirk wrote a memo just to tell people to keep doing business as usual. Well, my opinion, and the opinion of many other people, was that Charlie Kirk's memo meant something different. This is not a statement of fact, it is an opinion. This is another problem I have with this letter. Most of the statements they mention are opinions, just like this one. If you are going to accuse me of defamatory statements, they need to be facts, not opinions. If I have a fact wrong, let me know and I will happily correct it. But I will not change my opinion of this memo to whatever you want. But since it is so important for Turning Point, I have no problem with specifying that Charlie Kirk's memo used the words Doge effort, not Doge audit. The next statement is, someone at Turning Point.
This makes them look so bad. Did they not realize just how bad this makes them look? Suing people over dumb shit like this.
Decided not to file 990 forms. At the time I made that video, those forms were not publicly posted. Those forms were posted after I made that video, and I have already made a correction about that. The next statement is, in 2023, $650,000 may have been funneled from Turning Point USA through Turning Point Action to Turning Point PAC to evade campaign finance restrictions. They are referencing this chart from my video. They claim money actually went from Turning Point Action to Turning Point USA as a reimbursement for event expense. There was nothing nefarious about that transfer. I'm not sure they are contradicting what I am saying. According to their own statement, Turning Point USA used their own donor funds to pay for an event on behalf of Turning Point Action, freeing up Turning Point Action funds, which they then transferred to Turning Point PAC. They are saying that later, Turning Point Action reimbursed Turning Point USA for that event. But that doesn't change what I was saying. Additionally, in my video, I specifically said, again, this is not necessarily illegal if they structure their transactions correctly and utilize campaign finance loopholes, but it certainly looks unethical. That is my opinion. This money did move between the organizations. I'm allowed to have.
And that's the thing. A lot of the stuff that they are doing is technically not illegal, but it certainly is immoral. They're using all these tax loopholes and little side speed arounds to get, they're doing what the rich have done for years to avoid paying taxes. And they're doing the same thing. And on top of that, they're mismanaging donor money to do it. That's the worst part, is they're using donor money to finance all this stuff.
My opinion. On November 30th, I posted a video called Explosive, More Fraud at Turning Point USA. They say these are false claims. There was more fraud at Turning Point USA. I assume they are referring to the title of the video here. They, of course, are saying that there is no fraud at Turning Point USA.
Oh boy. So they're suing him because his video said more fraud, as in well, there's just the same amount of fraud. There's not more fraud. How dare you say there's more fraud? Oh my God, guys, you like, what is Erica doing? Is she really running this organization? I mean, who's at the head of this thing? Because clearly these people are just out of their minds.
The content of the video is me going over the evidence of fraud and sharing my opinion. Now, technically, a true statement would be that no one has been convicted of fraud at Turning Point USA, but whether fraud is going on right now is an opinion. This is what happens in every criminal court case. Both sides look at the facts. One side gives their opinion that they are innocent. The other side gives their opinion that they are guilty. Turning Point is looking.
I could state for a fact that there is fraud going on at Turning Point USA. So how about sue me, guys? You want somebody to sue me. I can't wait to get to discovery. I can say for a fact there's fraud going on at Turning Point.
At the financials and claiming that they are innocent. I understand that. I'm looking at the same financials and thinking they look suspicious. I did not even say in my video that they committed fraud. I think I'm very fair and balanced when I say, now for legal reasons, I have to say that I do not have any evidence of a crime. We would need an investigation of the books at Turning Point to know for sure. What I am saying is that there are red flags in the financials at Turning Point and a lot of questions that need to be answered. That sounds to me to be pretty fair and balanced, and the complete opposite of what they are accusing me of saying. They cannot take my statements out of context and accuse me of defamation. I have the right, as a journalist, to report on Turning Point's financials. Their opinion that they have not committed fraud is just an opinion. My opinion is that it looks suspicious. Now, it is nice that we have this letter with their official statements, but the letter does nothing to change my suspicions. It does not address most of my questions. Instead of answering my questions, it is the precursor to a lawsuit unless I change my statements. That does nothing to reduce my suspicions. For the sake of avoiding miscommunication, I can change the title of the video if that makes them more happy. I already changed it from More Fraud at Turning Point USA to More Fraud at Turning Point USA, allegedly. The next statement is that America's Turning Point had ghost employees. The letter explains, America's Turning Point had 80 employees in FY23 and 108 in FY24. There was, however, an inadvertent error in America's Turning Point filing, which failed to note these employees, and America's Turning Point is in the process of rectifying that inadvertent error. So I was right. There was something wrong. They did put incorrect information on the 990 form. There were missing employees they were not reporting. They have confirmed it. And just to be clear, this was not some minor mistake. This was around 80 employees that were somehow missing. Their complaint is that it's not correct to use the term ghost employees. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that opinion, but that is their position. I find this incredible. How are they going to sue me for this? They admit that I am right that the employees were not reported correctly. They don't like the wording I used. How is that defamatory? The next statement is that donations to Turning Point Action increased from $10.7 million in FY23 to $27.2 million in FY24, and suggested that Tyler Boyer may have been recruiting these donors away from Turning Point USA to undermine MAGA and benefit himself. Again, this is not exactly what I said, and I find their paraphrasing of my statements a little silly. They are claiming that Tyler Boyer never tried to undermine Charlie Kirk in any of his decisions. Tyler Boyer never tried to benefit himself in his role at Turning Point. I find those claims a little excessive. What I actually say in my video was sharing my opinion on the financials, which I'm allowed to do. When you see Tyler Boyer's organization growing so much faster than Charlie Kirk's organization, that looks to me like a corporate takeover from the inside. That is my opinion, which I'm allowed to have. Now, of course, I cannot know what is going on inside Tyler Boyer's mind, but that's not what I said in my video. I was not speaking about.
Now, we don't know what's going on in Tyler Boyer's mind, but we do have his past history. And his past history, his former allegations of fraud, which he was pardoned by Donald Trump for, by the way. And I'd like to know more about that pardon. What did he offer? What did he give to get that pardon? Was there a quid pro quo? What's going on there? Because both him and Hoffman, I believe, were both pardoned. But and speaking of Hoffman, we also have Tyler and Hoffman. They were both caught doing I forget the name of it, but they had a shell company that was doing they got caught doing bots that were hiring, well, not necessarily bots, but they were a troll farm. That's what it's called. They had a troll farm that they employed a bunch of teens to post pro TPUSA, pro MAGA talking points to flood people's feeds with just nonsense, just fake stuff, kind of like bots. And they got caught doing that and got shut down. And well, they didn't actually get shut down. They got shut down from Facebook. But then once the heat was put on them and people knew what they were doing, what they did was they shut down that organization and restarted a new organization in Delaware doing the exact same thing, which is that 110 LLC. And they did it in Delaware to hide who was on the, who actually owns the company, who's the what do they call them, the representatives of the company or whatever. And it's Tyler and it's Hoffman. They just, all they did was went from one to another. So we have his history of provable fraud to prove that most likely, and the opinion is, yes, he's still doing fraud, because if he was doing it in the past, he's probably doing it in the future. That's a pretty good chance.
About his state of mind or his motivation. I do not know that. The letter goes on to explain that donors naturally direct more money towards election activities in election years, especially to organizations like Turning Point Action that can engage in lobbying and political activity during election years. Accordingly, you are wrong to assert that the increased donations to Turning Point Action evinced any sort of wrongdoing on Mr. Boyer's part. So their explanation is that all the changes in the financials can be explained by the election. That is their official explanation. I do not believe it, and that is my opinion. On December 7th, I posted a video called Top 10 Clowns of the Year. In this video, I called Turning Point my #1 clown of the year. I talked about the now infamous interview with Turning Point's chief security person talking about the day that Charlie Kirk was murdered. I point out the massive contradiction where he says they were not allowed to fly drones. Then I show the interview with Frank Turek where he says he was watching drone footage with Charlie Kirk. This part is breaking news because I'm not aware this has ever been discussed. The lawyer in this letter says the following: there was no discrepancy. UVU prohibited Turning Point USA from flying drones for security purposes during the event, but did allow a Turning Point USA media production drone to briefly fly over the location before the event to collect limited B-roll footage. First of all, how could this...
Okay, Turning Point flying a drone is Turning Point flying a drone. Who cares whether it's for security or whether it's for B-roll footage? Still, Turning Point said that they did not have drones in the air at the time. We caught them in that lie. He was calling out their lie, and we caught them in their lie. And not only that, but I was actually the first one to call it out, because I caught in the on Charlie's birthday, Erica Kirk on her social media, she posted a montage video of Charlie Kirk, a tribute video to Charlie Kirk on his birthday on her channel. And in that feed, she showed drone footage from that event looking down, and I knew it was drone footage. And I posted that and called it out instantly. And of course, all the haters and bots tried to say that, oh, that's not drone footage. That was taken from the second floor. No, it was not. You can, number one, I've had multiple drone experts look at that thing and tell me for sure, no, this is drone footage. And the reason why you can tell is as it's sitting there, when a drone sits in hover mode, it has to, because there's wind, the air has wind, so it's not going to be perfectly stable. If it was sitting on the balcony, the camera would be perfectly stable. There wouldn't be any of this side to side movement. But you can see in the drone video that they posted that you can actually see the movement, the little bit side to side movement as it's adjusting itself to try to stay stable. So I called that out first, but they're trying to claim that, and number two, if they had drones up in the air at all, I don't care what they were for, whether it was a security company operating them or whether it was Mikey, the amazing Mikey McCoy operating it. If they had drones in the air, why didn't they catch anybody on the roof? Supposedly, the shooter was on the roof of that building for a long time because, that we have security footage was like early in the morning. I think it was like 7 or 8 o'clock. It was very early in the morning that we saw the person walking through that neighborhood. So they were on that roof very early on. Why didn't anybody catch anybody up on that roof if they had drone footage up there? So it's just another lie.
Be defamatory if I had no idea about any of this. Second, I find this explanation absurd. You are telling me that the security team was not allowed drones, but the media team was? That is the official explanation from Turning Point's lawyer. My honest opinion.
Yeah, and that makes absolutely no sense. Why would they allow drones? They said there was not drones allowed. They would not allow the security to have drones, but they allowed the media team to have drones. Why would they allow any drones? It's either one or the other. It can't be both. They can't say, oh, well, we can't allow drones because of airspace violation reasons or whatever, as Brian Harpole tried to say. Well, if that's the case, then how did they allow any drones? How did they allow the media team to fly drones there? It can't be both. So that's another lie they're caught in. The security team, I think the security team could have had drones there if they wanted them, but the security team did not want them there because they knew that they were trying to pull off this narrative because they were all involved. That's my opinion, but I'm telling you, they are all involved. Every one of the security people that were there were complicit and had foreknowledge and knew that Charlie was going to be killed, and they were a part of it.
Opinion is I do not believe that. But if that did happen, that is really silly, and it may have cost Charlie Kirk his life. On December 14th, I posted a video called Tim Pool Rants about Turning Point. They say these are false claims. Asking whether money sent to 110 LLC was to bribe Jake Hoffman. Again, that's not exactly what I said. They are complaining that I'm not allowed to ask questions. I cannot ask questions about 110 LLC. I cannot ask questions about Jake Hoffman. I think those are fair questions to ask, given that Turning Point sends them millions of dollars as one of their largest independent contractors. This is America. I'm allowed to ask questions. But I think it is fair for Turning Point to also state their official position. They claim Turning Point contracts with 110 LLC for legitimate services. The money you ask about is spent on marketing and advertising services. Any claim that it is a bribe is false. The second statement is asking why America's Turning Point.
As I said, 110 LLC, what they are doing with that company is the troll farm that Jake Hoffman and Tyler Boyer operate. They're still running the troll farm. It's just moved from that other company that they shut down to 110 LLC. And on top of that, they are taking extra money as kickbacks off the top. And secondly, it's completely unethical for them to be paying themselves when Tyler Boyer is a employee of Turning Point, for him to be paying himself as a contractor as well under that 110 LLC. Same thing with Stacey Sheridan. She is an employee of Turning Point, and she is paying herself millions of dollars a year as a contractor as well under Turning Point. That is unethical. And they don't list, and that's another thing in the where you have to list the conflict of interest on the IRS forms. They don't even list any of them. So that's unethical, and it's illegal for them to not list any conflict of interest.
Lists COO Tyler Boyer as an independent contractor. Again, they are saying, I'm not allowed to ask questions. Does Turning Point see the irony in this? Charlie Kirk died under a tent with the slogan, "Prove me wrong." His whole college campus tour was about asking questions. And now Turning Point is sending out legal letters to small YouTube channels accusing them of defamation for asking questions. I was asking the question why their COO was an independent contractor. I think that is unusual. That is my opinion. Turning Point.
That is unusual. And it's, like I said, it's also unethical. And the fact that they don't list it under the disclosure for, for conflict of interest is illegal.
Point is now stating their official.
And let me just add that the reason that I think they're doing it is kickbacks. I think that they are getting a whole bunch of money kicked back to them through those organizations.
Official position. America's Turning Point lists its COO as an independent contractor because his substantive role for America's Turning Point is more in line with the contractor classification. So this is new information. Now we know Turning Point is intentionally doing this. This is not a mistake. They are intentionally classifying their COO as an independent contractor, which means they are not withdrawing payroll taxes to send to the IRS. Now, if I were their CFO, I would not do this. But for some reason,
once again, that would be considered tax fraud and a way to avoid paying taxes on the funds, which only would give Tyler Boyer more money. They're totally corrupt.
and their CFO, the politician Justin Olson, has determined with all of his accounting expertise that this is the best way to classify their employees. Whatever the reason, this is Turning Point's opinion.
And also, Justin Olson isn't even a CPA or has no finance experience whatsoever. I don't even know why he was put in that role, because he has absolutely zero experience.
About an IRS classification. It is not a statement of fact, and I'm allowed my own opinion. The letter also states, more generally, you have accused the Turning Point entities of being shell companies. This too is false. They are arguing about what can be defined as a shell company. They don't want anyone to call Turning Point's multiple organizations shell companies. Personally, I do not agree that it is an incorrect use of the definition. Turning Point is moving money between organizations like some kind of shell game. A shell game is a classic street hustle and magic trick. So in my opinion, I think it would be appropriate to call them shell companies. But if Turning Point...
And that's exactly what Turning Point is doing. They're doing magic. They're doing a magic trick with their finances, moving money just like a shell game. That's a perfect analogy for it. They're moving money back and forth, like, oh, you can't see what we're doing. They're trying to hide what they're really doing because they know if they just sent it directly, it would be illegal. So they're going around, they know what they are doing is illegal. And the reason they're doing it in the way they're doing it is I guess there's loopholes or something that allow them to do it in that way that hide the money to where it doesn't appear to be illegal. It's all just an illusion, though. If you look at what they're actually doing, it's immoral. And like I said, in my opinion, it's illegal.
Point is so upset about the word shell company, I have no problem calling them something else from now on. On December 28th, I posted a video called Shocking, Turning Point Fraud Gets Worse. They claim you recklessly repeated many of the previously described falsehoods and again directed viewers to the home address of Mr. Boyer, which has resulted in threats to Mr. Boyer's safety. Let me explicitly state that I condemn any violence, any threat, any harassment being sent to any employee at Turning Point.
I'm going to say the same thing. I don't, let us do our work. Let us expose these people. Let us do the journalism. Don't contact any of them yourself. Don't take it into your hands to harass any of them. That's not what we want. However, I'm going to back him up here as well. Is in his video, I remember that video. He specifically did not show Tyler Boyer's house for that reason, because he did not want a bunch of people showing up to the guy's house. And as far as the actual address, that is listed on public documents. So if you don't want your address listed on public documents, don't put it on public documents. What he showed is something that is perfectly legal to post because it's public documents. Anybody can have access to it. All you got to do is go look for it and you can find it.
Do not even harass them on X.com. Do not retweet at them. Do not send them angry messages. Keep your comments in my comment section. Just for the record, I will repeat what I have previously said. And I have to tell people, please do not go to Tyler Boyer's house. That is not appropriate. I was in no way calling for violence against Tyler Boyer, and you are absolutely false in claiming that I was. In the video, I blacked out Tyler Boyer's address.
Actually, what they did in that cease and desist letter is they are defaming him by claiming that he recklessly and maliciously spread Tyler Boyer's address to have people attack him. That's right there is defamation. If you want defamation, they're the ones that are defaming us.
Which I did not have to do. He put the address himself on a public document. That's not my fault. That's his fault. Don't blame me when I have tried to protect his privacy. So that is the letter. There are more paragraphs of legal language that I skipped, but that is pretty much the letter. I have to say that in general, most of the things they brought up were nitpicky little things, like they don't want me to use the word audit or the words shell company. Those are not even facts. But I am going out of my way to adjust for some of their requests. And I want to mention something else. Take a moment and think of all the statements they listed in this letter as problematic. I think it's around 11 statements they are claiming are false. Now think about all the things I've talked about in my videos on Turning Point. There are a lot of other things that I have said in my videos that were never mentioned in this letter. They did not say I got those statements wrong. I think that is very telling. Again, I have no desire to spread false information. Some of their statements in this letter were actually very helpful in answering some of our questions, so I hope that this video cleared up any confusion. I will be honest with you.
And that's the thing. Instead of, correcting the statements in a cease and desist letter, a nasty cease and desist letter threatening to sue him, which, by the way, is a terrible move. Terrible. You ever heard of the Streisand effect? It's going to blow up even bigger than they had ever imagined. This is going to be like, this is good. This makes them look so bad. This is going to blow up so big. You have no idea. But had they just addressed these concerns when we raised them publicly, none of this would even have to happen. If we asked them, hey, why do you do this? The first thing he said was, hey, where's these missing 990 forms? if they would have just been open and upfront with him and said, "Hey, we filed them. I don't know why they're not on the IRS's website yet or whatever." Great, then we would have known that, and it would have led a lot. The people that were saying that they intentionally did that would have never happened, because we would have gotten uh, you know their word that they're filed, and we would just look out for them. So, like, that's my only thing. The turning point is, instead of addressing the criticism in a lawsuit or in a cease and desist letter, why don't you contact us directly, or not even, you didn't have to contact us directly, just publicly, just state publicly, "Hey, you got this wrong. This is what's really going on." Or, "Hey, you ask a question about this. Well, I want to answer it for you." If you do that publicly, then I think the people would be more receptive to them, especially than what they're doing now. Because when they stay silent, that implies guilt.
You guys, getting a legal letter like this is scary. I don't know why Turning Point is attacking me like this. I don't have a lot of money, lawyers are expensive, and I'm going to need a good one. So I'm going to ask for help. If you like my videos, consider signing up for a membership. That is money that I would use if this turns into a lawsuit. If you want to provide additional support, you can also donate directly from the homepage of my website on wolvesandfinance.com. I really appreciate all my members, and I'm so thankful for your support, especially in times like these. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.
Anyway, so that's the video. Definitely wolvesandfinance.com. That is his website there. Make sure you guys go over there, give him some support. He's definitely going to need it. Zach is a great guy. He's doing great work. And I hope you guys all stand behind him and stand behind anybody else that they choose to come after with lawsuits. I like I said, he's just the first one they started with, but I suspect that I'm going to get a lawsuit. I suspect that Candace is going to get a lawsuit. I suspect that Ryan Mata is going to get a lawsuit. It'd be like Oprah: "You get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit." So they're going to start throwing lawsuits around like crazy, or not threatening lawsuits, because I don't think they're actually going to sue anybody, because that would, like I said, that would open them up to legal liability for in discovery. We would get a hold of the things that we've been asking for. We'd get a hold of the videos that they've been hiding. We'd get a hold of the text messages behind the scenes that prove they're all colluding together. We would get a hold of the financial statements and things. Like we would actually get the things that they're hiding in Delaware, like how Delaware hides actually who the representatives are of the company, who the lead the owners are. Well, in discovery, you can subpoena that, and you can force them to release that to us. So we will be able to get all of that. So we'll know exactly whose name is on these companies. And we'll be able to find out about Charlie's life insurance policy. That's a big one. And the little shenanigans that they did with that, especially making sure that the company that held the life insurance policy, they made sure that it was in default. So therefore, it was not in good standing at the time he was killed. So in case the police wanted to question money as a motive, they could say, "Oh, well, he doesn't have a life insurance policy because it's not in good standing," knowing full well that they could, within that 3-month time frame, that they could reinstate it. And how the state law works I think Wyoming is where they did it, but how the state law works is, if they reinstate it, it is as if they never let it lapse to begin with. So therefore, it'll still be in good standing, which they did. They did in the beginning of December. So they filed on to collect that life insurance policy. And another strange thing is the life insurance policy was in the CEO of Turning Point. That's the name of the benefactor. Was not a individual. The benefactor was not Erica Kirk. It was not whoever. It was the CEO of Turning Point. So in order for Erica to collect that money under the life insurance policy, she would have had to have been the CEO of Turning Point, which is the only reason that they actually made Erica CEO, was so she could collect that life insurance policy. But we would get all that in discovery, and that's my point. Let me answer some of you guys' questions here before we get off. What do you think? Secret societies protect their own. Why do you think? Absolutely, and honestly, it comes down to bloodlines. All these elite bloodlines that rule the world, they all protect each other. And we're in the midst right now of tracking those bloodlines and seeing who's connected to who, and because that bloodlines tell more of a story than you think, because that kind of tells you where their allegiance really stands when things come down to it. And especially in Utah in particular is very tight knit. There's a lot of incest in Utah, especially in the LDS community, and you can see that through the bloodlines where they're all related, they're all connected to each other, and it's very telling. He could sue them for defamation, absolutely, because like I said, they defamed him right there. Even in the letter they sent him, they sued him. FBI are definitely covering it up. So are the Utah police or whatever. And that's another thing is my team has been trying to find out who the supposed lead investigator is on the Charlie Kirk case, who was actually investigating it, and they won't tell us. They refuse to tell us. So we don't even know, because we wanted to contact the lead investigator and give them everything we've found so they can look into it, but they refuse to tell us who the actual lead investigator is. They're trying to keep that quiet for some reason. What else we got? Child infertility is raising for the first time due to Trump policy. Yeah, definitely. And I tell you what, like I was a staunch Trump supporter. I voted for him every single time. But he has lost my respect, and he's lost my vote. I am not happy with what he has done this term. Since he's gotten into office, he's done like a complete 180. He went in there supposedly to drain the swamp and to get rid of all this corruption and to stop the deep state, which are all these elite technocrats and rich people. And instead, he is getting in bed with them and making deals with them and making them richer and richer and richer. It's like Larry Ellison for one. It's just like what, and Bill Gates, like he's hosting all these people. He's hosting Bill Gates and Larry Ellison, and all of them. He hosting them in the White House and doing multi-billion-dollar AI deals with them and stuff. Like, these are the people that you're supposed to be going after, that you're supposed to be stopping. You're not supposed to be in bed with them, making them rich. And then don't even get me started with Israel, with how he's just like the puppet for Israel. Honestly, the more I'm starting to see that they are a cult. Because there's some of these people, like I said, I was very supportive of Donald Trump, but at the same time, I was not he could not. I wasn't one of those people where he could do no wrong. I followed my morals, and I agreed on some issues. I disagreed on some issues with him. But a lot of these people that I see, especially now, the ones pushing the Fed slap story, they are like in a cult. Like I swear it's like a cult. They like he can do no wrong. You know, it blows my mind. It really does. Well, the thing with that is they have to file. They can't file a lawsuit without filing a cease and desist first. The cease and desist is the first step of a lawsuit legally. They have to do a cease and desist first. But by doing a cease and desist, that just means that they're on the way to a lawsuit. They're planning on filing a lawsuit. That's the only reason you would send a cease and desist to somebody. It will all come out, and it's all coming out now. Erica's past is coming out. I've done a lot to expose that. Other people's have done a lot to expose that. Walton Finance has done a great job exposing the finances within them. Candace is doing a great job getting at the people behind Turning Point that are betrayed him. We all have our different roles, but we collectively we're definitely uncovering it, and it's all going to come out. They can't hide it. They might as well just be honest with us because they can't hide it. They actually, this is a very good point. They are 100%. From what I can see now, this is. I'll preface this by saying this is my opinion because I don't have necessarily hard evidence to back it up yet, but I'm looking for that evidence. And if anybody has any evidence, please send it to me. But Turning Point, I definitely believe, is involved in a money laundering, and they're involved in a drug business and drug trafficking and human trafficking. Absolutely. And it also involves the Mormons, and involves the cartels. It's a big. They're 100% involved in that, and they're what they do is they wash the money for the cartels and stuff. Is my opinion. Yeah, Barron is a lawyer himself. I don't think he would Watch out! Ooh, sorry about that, guys. My cat decided to run across the screen and turn off my computer. Um. Anyways, Barron is a lawyer himself, so I don't think he would represent him out of conflict of interest because he's also investigating it. But he certainly would know a lot of people that could probably help him. Erica is a Rothschild, absolutely. We were able to prove that lineage. Uh, Charlie did die with his soul intact. He would not sell out to those evil people. He would. They tried to pressure him. They tried to get him to become the next Mooney's cult. They wanted to take him to the next level. They wanted him to, uh, pretty much bow down and be their puppet, and they wanted to use his organization, and he refused. He said, no, I don't care how much money you pay me. There is not any amount of money in the world that you could send me that's going to make me uh you know give up my morals and principles. And I deeply respect that about him, and I'm the same way. I'm the exact same way. You couldn't offer me, if someone offered me $1 million today to stop reporting on Charlie Kirk, I would refuse. I would not do it because it's it's that important to me. Like I feel this is my calling. I feel this is what God has put me here to do. After Charlie died, I was having dreams myself, and in those dreams, I felt God compelling me to dig into this and to find out what really happened to him. And and once I set my mind to something, I see it through. So I'm not going to stop. There's nothing that anybody, you can sue me, it will not stop me. You can throw money at me, it's not going to stop me. I don't care. You're not going to make me sacrifice my morals and my principles. And neither did Charlie. And that's what I respect about him. I absolutely. They certainly participated in it. That is my opinion for sure. They certainly, they were. Um, I think in particular, I think Rick Cutler is the one that triggered the device. I think he triggered the whatever the device that exploded was, um, and the rest of them were in on it too. Americans are going to right this ship. We're going to have to revolt, sadly. They're hoping to have us fight a civil war, but I don't hate the right or the left. After the revolt, we might consider. You know, I believe the same thing. I think that I don't want war. I certainly don't want a civil war. I don't want to fight. But what I think is going, and they want us to have a civil war where we fight each other, but I'm totally against that. I don't think that's going to happen. Um, I think what does need to happen, though, is that we need to take back our government. We need to clean house 100%. We need to get rid of all of them, wipe clean, and start afresh. We need to put all new people in there, get rid of all the old ones, and just completely start fresh. I think it's beyond fixing. I think the only way we're going to fix it now is by starting over. And if these people are not going to step down willingly, then we're going to have to force them out, whether that be, through violence or whatever, but we have to start fresh one way or the other. That's the only way that we're going to solve all these problems and save our country, because the rot is so deep. These people are so entrenched in our system that we just have to completely start new. Yep, exactly. 100%. I think I already read this. Yeah, Erica is a Rothschild. Uh, see, yeah, there's definitely there's things I like about George Webb. He definitely gets some things right, and he has information that I've even used before that has been helpful to me. However, he also gets a lot of things wrong, and I wonder if there's a reason why he's putting out some kind of disinformation. So yeah, it's a possibility. I'm not really sure. A lot of people say he might be a Fed. I don't know. I definitely like some of the stuff he does, but not all of it. Yeah, the cats are very suspicious. They always they want to investigate. They want to curious, not suspicious. That cats are curious. They always want to see what's going on and be the center of attention. No, absolutely. Land of the free, home of the brave. That's what this country was founded on. That's what I stand for. That's what the Constitution stands on. We absolutely have to protect the Constitution at all costs. All these attacks on the Constitution need to be stopped. Um, and if that takes whatever that takes, if that takes war, if that takes whatever, that's what it takes, man. But you certainly don't cower, and you certainly don't just become sheep, eating up whatever the narrative and doing whatever you're told. That certainly is not on the menu, not for me, and it shouldn't be on the menu for any of you guys. I don't think so. From everything I've seen about Charlie, and I've dug very deep into his past, I see no signs that he was involved in any of this. I don't see any sign that he was involved in the corruption. I see him, actually, I think he was a victim. I think he was unwittingly targeted and living kind of a Truman Show, like a real life Truman Show. I think that they found him very early on, uh, through. See, here's the thing: is the schools, the only reason they have the standardized testing is so that they can track people who are gifted, people that are above average, high IQ, so that they can later put them on a list so they know who to target, who they can use later, and well, one, who they have to watch out for, and who they can potentially use to their benefit down the road. And Charlie is one of those people that he was noticed and put on a list early on, and then in 5th grade, when he went in this gifted and talented school that he was in, uh, I think that is where they started to mold him into the person they wanted him to be. And I think he was targeted the whole time, all along the way. He was handed Turning Point University when the idea for Turning Point. He was given that. He was suggested that. It's not. He didn't come up with that on his own. That was something that was suggested to him. Hey, you should start this. And it was pretty much, even the organization itself, once he decided he was going to do it, was handed to him on a silver platter. They already had all the, they already had it set up. The structure of it already set up with all the shell companies, Turning Point Faith, Turning Point Action. They already had that already in place when Charlie started it. So he was being used, and he was being used all the way up until his death, when he finally woke up and said, "Hey, this has gotten too big. There's too many people involved. Money's going where it's not supposed to be." And he was starting to question whether the whole thing was just the Matrix. Charlie, at the end of his life, Charlie was questioning whether we were all just living in the Matrix. And that is, so that tells me that he was not part of it. You know what? Sadly, you're right. And they're the ones that they push up. All these people that are the head of these organizations, the CEOs of these organizations, the ones that are, at Turning Point, everybody, all these people, they get elevated not because of their brains, not because of their intelligence, but they get elevated because of who they are and who they know, and that's all there is to it. What are you willing to do? Whose ass are you willing to kiss to get that job? And that's what it comes down to. Oh, absolutely. We have, there's a lot of creators that were paid a lot more than that. Some of them as much as $100,000 to make posts. We're working on that in the background. There's a bunch of people that I know that are working on that in the background, exposing these creators that have all taken money, especially through companies like YRefi. They're a big one that has been pushing, that have been paying these creators on the side to blast this talking point garbage nonsense. Yeah, God bless Charlie. I still miss him. We all do. I don't personally know how Charlie was behind the scenes, but you know, I know I trust that Candace does, and I know John Mapp does, or John Mappin, um, and I trust both of them because they were very close to Charlie and they knew him and they knew what kind of a person he was, but between like what I have seen from Charlie's past and everything, all the research I've done, it certainly aligns a lot more with what they're saying than him being a part of this cabal, this organization, part of the corruption, part of the Freemasons. Uh, so I don't think he was one of them. I don't. That's my personal opinion. You're welcome to believe what you want, but I don't believe that. The trapdoor was not actually under the table. It was off to the side and a little bit behind Charlie. It was there, but it wasn't big enough for anybody to fit in. And I don't think that played a role in it personally. It's crazy. The most respected person has been taken from us too soon and left us with all the. Yeah, I agree. It's sad. And their ratings are proving it, honestly. If you go look at Turning Points, or not Turning Point, but the Charlie Kirk Show's ratings, they're dropped. They've just plummeted. They were once the top podcast, and now they're not even in the top 100. They're like way down the list. I don't think they're going to be on the air much longer because nobody wants to see them. All they do is sit up there and lie, and they shill Trump's talking points. That's all the organization does now is just shill Trump's talking points and try to push JD Vance. That's their next big thing is pushing JD Vance. JD Vance, I tell you, certainly is part of the cabal, the deep state. No, I agree with you. He was a psyop from the beginning. Absolutely. Like I said, they found him early on at fifth. I'm talking fifth grade, very early on, and that is where they start molding him. They put handlers around him, and he's had those handlers around him his entire life that have led him to do what they want. Nothing that he was doing through Turning Point, through any of that was organic. That was all staged. It was all he was molded to be what they wanted. They wanted to martyr him. That was their intention. Their actual intention was to martyr him. They wanted to build him up so that they could martyr him and then use him posthumously, for their beliefs, for to push up their whatever their ideals that they want. So we see that now with what Israel's doing. And the ADL, they're trying to give awards to Charlie still, even after it's been exposed that Charlie had turned on the Israeli lobby. He was no longer down with the cause. He was against Israel. They're still, to this day, trying to push that Charlie was a huge Zionist. They're trying to give awards to him. I mean, it's disgusting. It blows my mind. Big time rabbit hole. It's actually more than that. I'd say it's an iceberg, where you only see a little bit, only a little bit's on the surface, and then under the surface is like this much. There is so much left to discover about what's going on. And the stuff that Candace is talking about right now, Project Stargate and all that stuff, and Looking Glass, all that stuff all comes together. It all is connected. And I think Charlie was right in the middle of it. And there's a lot more to discover, especially around that angle. Yeah, they were. And we know this for a couple reasons. We have pictures of them. They, I think it was Dan Flood and Rick Cutler. Was it Rick Cutler? Dan Flood was one of them, and there was another one. I think it was Rick Cutler, but I'm not 100% sure. But they were on Benjamin Netanyahu's personal security detail back in 2017. So, they certainly were Mossad. They certainly were connected to Israel, and I have no doubt in my mind that they participated in killing Charlie. Oh, big time. We need term limits for everybody, for Congress, for the Senate, for the Supreme Court, for the president. Big time. I'm tired of these dinosaurs that we have walking around the Senate. I love America, and I pray every night that the Lord bring those who cannot see light. Amen. I agree with you. I feel the same way. And that's why that I do what I do. That's why I continue to try to put things out and report on this case, because I want to reach those people. I want to try to wake up the people that are still asleep, the people that are still being the sheeple led to the slaughter. I want to wake them up and see what's real, what's going on. See, when they like Charlie's, it's bigger than Charlie. Now that's the thing, is it's way bigger than Charlie. It was just originally about finding who killed Charlie and Charlie's death. But Charlie's death has actually opened up the wormhole to exactly what these elites do, and the way they operate, their structure, everything they do in the dark. We now are getting a glimpse of how they operate and how they're all connected, and we're able to put the pieces together now, and we're going to blow it wide open. That's the goal, is we're going to just expose these people. We're going to destroy their network. And Charlie is going to be remembered not for what he did here on Earth as a human. He's going to be remembered as the catalyst for stopping the deep state cabal completely, because that's where this is leading, and that's where we're headed. And Charlie was the one that opened it all up for us. Zionist-sponsored candidates should automatically be disqualified. No votes for Zionists. I agree. They should not. All these people that are taking Turning Pack money, or not Turning Pack, APAC money, they should all be disqualified. They shouldn't be able to run. Nobody should be able to take money from foreign organizations, period. Well, hello there from the UK. Charlie's parents are very private. I know who they are, and they're very private people. to my knowledge, they still live in Ohio, and the mom, I believe, she was a banker, and the dad, I hear, was an architect for Trump Tower in New York. I haven't confirmed that, but that's what I'm hearing. Absolutely. We're going to need these people, especially now. If we're going to take back this country, we're going to need all our vets. Yeah, I've heard that too. I'm not 100% sure. I can't confirm that, but I have heard the same thing. What I can confirm, though, is that Erica no longer has the kids. That the nanny filed a complaint with CPS, and CPS came and took the kids away, and now they are in the grandparents' care, from what I read. Candace is important, but she's not the only one to listen to. There's a lot of us out here that are doing the work, putting in the work, and here's the thing: like, regardless, yes, I fully support Candace, and I'm 100% ride or die with her. But at the same time, if, like, hypothetically, she's not doing this, but hypothetically, if she were to stop investigating Charlie Kirk tomorrow, I would still keep going regardless. So she's not the end all be all for this, but she definitely is the head, the center of the cog of the wheel that's leading the investigation for sure. Absolutely. Asking questions is the only thing to keep us free. Charlie said it himself. Never stop asking questions. That goes for me. That goes for all of you watching. Never stop asking questions. Whether that be of TPUSA, whether that be of your leaders, whether that be of your school districts, trying to push critical race theory or any of these other things, try to push the transgender movement down our throats. Never stop asking questions, and always uh, be willing to speak your mind too. A lot of people are afraid to speak up for fear of being retaliated against or fear of what people might think. Don't be. We need more people to speak up and to say what they believe, because there are a lot of people that know that we're on the wrong path, especially as this country, but are afraid to say it. And the more people that speak up, the easier it will be for us to push the right people into office, to push this country in the right direction. I'm starting to lose my voice, so I'm actually going to get off here and end this stream. But I thank you all. Thank you all for joining me. And again, wolvesinfinance.com. That's his website. Let me take that off the screen so you can see it. wolvesinfinance.com. I would highly suggest you guys all go to his website and sign up, or if you can afford to donate a few bucks for him, because he's going to need help getting a lawyer to sue them, or to fight a lawsuit. Honestly, he has a lawsuit of his own against them, but at the very least, to fight their lawsuit. And support anybody, any one of us, if they want to throw a lawsuit up there, support anybody who gets sued. And with that, I'll leave it there. Thank you guys for joining me today. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Thanks for watching.